Hello and welcome. This is I believe, will be the last prologue lesson, and we're going to wrap up with objects because they're very important. And this could be kind of a long one, but I think it'll be an informative one. And I hope that I'm able to describe what objects are because I've never really tried to ever before. So hopefully this isn't too jumbled up. So yes, objects. What are objects? Objects are things. They're like little nuggets of code that do the same thing over and over. And actually, we've been working with objects this whole time. This main class extends the spread object, and it itself is an object. And what else is an object in here? That might be it, actually. I think maybe technically arrays are objects, because I think you can extend them even. So, yeah, how do you make an object? Let's make an object. Okay, so to make an object, you'll probably have your project here. I'll pin it open so that you can see it. And remember, we have our assets, our export, our project XML, references, and all that. But let's look in our source code. Right now, we just have the main, this one, hex file. And notice that they have the file name is the same as the class name. And this is important. It has to be the same. Absolutely. Yeah. One other thing is usually, I think also by tradition or I think I've been saying tradition, but I don't think that's what they usually call it. But anyways, these class names have to start with a capital letter. And usually that's how you can tell if something is an object or a class. Because they start with capital letters, like these. So those are all classes or objects or that kind of thing. So yeah, let's make a new class. So if we right click here on our source folder, we'll add a new class. As easy as that. And let's say this new class is person. Just like that. In a bit we'll go over this base class stuff in a bit, but we'll just start with a generic kind of one like this. Okay. So, this is a person. So, what is a person? A person is, a human. And how do you describe a human? It has different things about it that makes it a human, right? And what do we call that? It's a very general kind of term, but we call that properties, What are the properties that make me as an object a human? I have two hands, right? So maybe I'll have something like a property, also a variable. So we'll write var, and say this is like number of hands. And let's assume this will be an integer. I might not have half a hand, although maybe some people do, but you can, that's your decision to make. Like that. So here we have variable, number hands, and what else? Most people have a name, right? So we'll put name is pretty generic, so we'll just put like something like my name, or I'll put my name, and that's a string, right? Like that. And what else? So these are things that describe a human. Two hands, they have a name, but also people do stuff, right? So that's when we will get into methods. I think in this case they're called methods. But anyways, they're functions. I think sometimes they're also called member functions, but let's not worry about that just yet. And what is that? Basically, those are functions. So what can a person do? A person can speak. So we'll make a function. We'll call it speak. Maybe it doesn't necessarily take in any information, so we'll just leave that the argument's empty. And maybe, just to cover our bases, maybe it returns a string, right? So, because maybe technically someone listens to it and maybe they can process that information in their own head. So maybe speaking kind of sends out that information. So maybe inside here we'll have a string that for example, maybe there's a string let's say sentence. Maybe we speak sentences, and that's a string. And maybe right out of the gates we'll have it say hello. Hello. And then we'll return sentence. Just like that. So here we have this class of number of hands, the name of the person, the variable, the sentence that they say. So how do we use this? If you remember, in the previous one, I talked about this new function, and I might have, maybe I didn't, but I might have mentioned how this is called a constructor. So what is a constructor? So when you make your object, or you instantiate it, as they call it, or in video games and whatnot, they call it spawning. When you spawn a new person, it will be put into the game or whatever, but also at that time it'll run any sort of initial setup code, right? So maybe there's some standard things that we want to happen. So there's a number of ways we can do that. So for example, this person has the number of hands, right? And that will equal 2, right? And its name, my name, equals, we'll change it up. His name is Billy. Like that. So let's instantiate this person. So yeah, let's get rid of this. We don't need any of that. Let's start fresh. So right out of the box, what are we gonna do? Let's make a new person. So we might need to remember this person and use him in other places. So right at the start, we'll have we'll call it a private variable. We'll get to private and public in a second. Friend. And a friend is a type of person. See, so now in this case we are making a variable which will hold the object of type person. So let's instantiate it. So friend equals a new person, and then you'll put those at the end. And let's, just to see if we did this right, let's do trace friend and see what it says. And then it says, it traces that there's an object there and it is of type person. So we know that there is a person there. But what if we want to know this person's name? Remember how inside person we set this property of my name. So what we do is we use what's called dot nomenclature. And I think you might have seen me use this before, and I maybe just kind of glossed over it. But if you want to access the properties and methods or member functions or the actions that an object can do, you push period and then type what it is you are. Uh-oh. It should be suggesting what to put there. So what if I do Control Shift Space? Uh-oh. Just a moment. Let's take a look at person. Why isn't it... Oh no, I shouldn't have to import it because it's in the same thing here. But just in case, Control Shift 1. Nope, okay. That's weird. So friend dot my name. Yes. Why can't I figure out this person's name? So it's, notice I'm like trying to access what's this person's name. Maybe they're not my friend yet, because let's go into person. Notice here I have private variable, but here I don't have anything. So right now, if there's nothing before variable or after it, I think you can do it in any order, but anyways, there's no public or private. So right now, it'll assume that this information is private. But usually with people, when you meet them, they introduce themselves. So usually their name is public information. And that's very easy to know and access, right? And number of hands, you can just look at them and you can see the number of hands they have. So that's public information. When we come back here and we try to access this information with the, and also speaking with them is usually, when you're friends with someone, speaking with them is a public action. So that will be a public function, speak. Right? So we can do friend and dot, and then there we are. We have our properties that we can access here. So let's access friend.myname, hit play, and there it goes. Billy. Billy is his name. As easy as that. So, yes, and also Billy has a function here, and it pretty much just returns this sentence hello, right? So I think if we do friend dot speak, you can see there it is. And then remember, this is a function, so we need to put the parentheses afterwards. And if we play that, remember it's sending the string outward, so it just goes right in there and it says hello. Alright, so this actually isn't a very good use of objects, so don't get too comfortable just yet. So right now, if we were to instantiate a new person, let's say we'll just do var, I'll just put person 2, right? Or 1, 2, and this is a new person. But that person will also be Billy. That person will say the same things, and that's not really very useful, right? So what would be better? Better would be allowing this new to accept arguments. So, for example, like the other functions, we'll take in something like, the number of hands or a name, right? So, I don't think I went over this in too much detail before, but so basically, for a number of hands, let's take in something, let's call it I usually do this. I put in, because it's kind of like input coming in, and then the name of it. So in number of hands. So that's the number of hands that we're putting into this argument, and it's being number crunched inside this function. And then that's an integer. And then a name, in name. And this is a string, like that. So when we do that, instead of setting a number here, we're going to use this in number of hands argument. So in num hands and in name, like that. And then what if we want him to say whatever it is that we want him to say? Then in that case, let's have speak send a name out instead. So let's just do this. Let's remove that, and instead of returning sentence, it'll return the string hello, my name is, and then my name, like that. And of course we could, put like some other thing in there and have it go. So what happens if we try to play it now? What will happen? It will fail because there's not enough arguments here. So we changed the class, so now we have to use this constructor a little bit differently. So this new person requires a number of hands, which will be 2, and a name, which will be, that'll be Chris. So that'll be me. Why not? And this other person is an alien. So number of hands, 7. And name is Gorbloop. Gorbloop. Yeah, that's an alien name, right? And then when we run speak, let's trace person to speak. Now, when we run it, we shouldn't have any problems. Yeah, hello, my name is Chris. Hello, my name is Gorbloop. Easy as pie. So we have a person, right? And it has a number of hands and that kind of thing. But let's say there are superheroes. And what are superheroes usually? Usually they're a person with like extra abilities, right? And actually, I use the word super, and that's going to come in handy, although the meaning is a little bit different. So yeah, let's make a new class, and this will be a superhero. And so here's the thing. A superhero is a type of person, right? So what we'll do is in this base class, let's browse and find our person class that we made before and use that and hit OK. So doing that sets up some things automatically for us. So since a superhero is a type of person, you could type this manually, but yeah, this is just a little bit easier in the end. So here we have superhero extends person, like that. So superhero is a type of person, essentially. And then in the new, it will take in the same things, number of hands, a name. And then here, it runs this super. So actually, it's a little bit inversed. Super is actually the base class. So that might be a little bit weird. So when thinking about a family tree, the things that extend it go down, right? So then the things that are the base of it are above it. So I think, therefore, the base is above, so therefore it's super, kind of like superscript. But maybe you get that and I'm over-explaining. Alright, so superheroes have the number of hands, and and they have this speak function and things like that. So maybe there are some extra things that a superhero can do. So for example, a superhero can fly, right? So maybe when we fly, it'll trace, and even though it's not written here, it still has a my name, and then we'll just do is flying, like that. And also superheroes speak, right? But maybe they speak a little bit differently from a normal person. So this is when we're going to use an override. And Flash Develop is really cool. It has this really cool feature where if we just type override, and oops, override, and then look, it already pops up with speak there. Or if you were to just type an S, that would pop up, and like that. So what this puts in for us is it will return the normal hello that is in the person before us. We can keep that and then run some extra code, or we can just completely change it and say that instead it will say something different, like greetings, citizen. I'm, and then my name. Something like that. And remember, it's returning a string and not tracing that, so we'll have to plop that into something to where it can see that. So now, let's say we make we'll go back to the main, and we're going to, and actually we don't need to put a, since we're not really going outside of this new function, I'll just put it right here. Variable superhero. Yeah, and be sure to, super is already a keyword, so that's no good. And superhero is a superhero. And actually, I forgot a type on this, which, I mean, is okay, but it's a little bit sloppy. Equals a new superhero. And also, because I typed the variable on this side, it already knew what I was going to do for the new class. And it has a number of hands. So he's the amazing 20-armed man or woman. 20-armed woman. Yeah, we're equal here. So her name is Lady. Lady. Let's see, 20 hands times 5. So that means she has Lady 100 fingers. That's right? I'm not very good at math, as you may know. So, what does Lady 100 fingers say when we, so let's trace and superhero. And yeah, notice there's two superheroes here. One is lowercase, one is uppercase. So we know which one is our actual object, which one is the class, and which one is the keyword. So although you should probably give your things more original names, that's how you can know what is what exactly, which is why those little rules really help out in the end. So superhero will speak, and also we can just run superhero will fly. Oops, did I not make it a public? Yeah, public function fly, which doesn't return anything. Let's save it. Why is it not popping up? Oh, there it is. Okay, fly, just like that. So now when we play it, there we go. It says, hello, my name is Chris. Hello, my name is Gorbloop. And then when she speaks, she says, greetings, citizen, I am Lady 100 Fingers. And then when we fly, and inside of her class, it also, which is also very handy, it says Lady 100 Fingers is flying. So, there we go. That is the basic, those are the basics, or that is the basic, sorry, it's a little bit late here, I'm kind of tired, of making objects. There's still a lot more that objects can do, but I think that's enough to get us started and ready to go on the nature of code book. I think there'll just be one more episode, but I think I'll put it at the beginning of the next chunk of this series. And it's just how to get OpenFL set up in a way to where it will act more like processing does. Yeah, that's it. Let's get ready to make nature stuff in code with Hex. So, alright, I will see you in that next episode. And see you then.